Mayor Luttrell and myself, and he will speak for himself in just a minute, we are not here to say pro or con. We're operating on the premise that regardless of what happens, our city and our county will have to be governed, and in governing, what we do will be impacted greatly, whether there's one school system or two school systems. What we're here to do today is to announce what we hope will be a method of ensuring an orderly transition if this matter first gets to the ballot, and secondly, if upon getting to the ballot and voted on, it should pass. Both offices, and I think I can speak for our council members and commission members here, have been deluged by expressions of concern from parents, from children, from employees, of what if. What we found in trying to answer those questions was that while there is already on the books of the laws of Tennessee a very detailed method governing transitions when two or more school systems merge. However, we found further that Memphis and Shelby County are not covered because of the unique character of the Memphis City School system. And consequently, we have been advised by the lawyers that those laws, which set out a very orderly process for mergers, do not apply. As a result of that, Mayor Luttrell and I have decided to promptly ask the Tennessee General Assembly to pass a law which would make the present laws or some version thereof apply in Memphis and Shelby County should this matter reach the ballot and should the voters vote in favor of surrender. We wanted to get the process started. We wanted to focus the debate on the legitimate issues, the serious questions that are here, and this is our first step toward that. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Luttrell for any comments he might wish to make.
Thank you, Mayor Wharton. Since the discussion began back several weeks ago on this issue of the merging of the school systems, Mayor Wharton and I have been in almost daily communication regarding the issues and the questions that seem to come up anew every day. We've attended several events together to express ourselves and also to really listen to what's being said. One of the things that's become very apparent to me, as I've stated publicly, is that although this is an issue that's been discussed endlessly for several years, there still are a multitude of unanswered questions. And as I watch the news reports each evening, the one theme that seems to constantly recur is the fact that there is so much uncertainty out there about the future and what it brings and all the what-ifs. And quite honestly, there are no clear answers to all of these questions. So our thinking over the last few weeks has been the best way that we can serve this community as it relates to this very critical issue is to really kind of place ourselves in the middle and try to be spokesman for calm, for reason, for deliberation, for a very issue-oriented discussion over the next several weeks. And our work has been moving in that direction. What we're proposing today is what we think is a very orderly process of dealing with the school system should a referendum be held and should it be approved to surrender the charter. What is the next step? We know that many of the laws are vague as it relates to this. We know that they're not really on point with the very substantial issues that we're facing here in Shelby County. It's not clear. We're trying to bring some clarity to a situation that's just not very clear. We've been in consultation with county commissioners, with city councilmen, with our state legislative delegation, And we want to move forward with a proposal that will at least start the discussion in a very positive way. I recall back some 3 years ago when Shelby County was starting or commencing deliberation on revising its charter. At that time, the chairman of the county commission brought to the table a plan. He said, this is a starting point. This is a baseline. Now, as we move through deliberations, we can add, subtract, multiply, and divide as it relates to the plan, but we have to have a point, a starting point from which to discuss how this process will move forward in an orderly fashion. It will require some legislative assistance, and we'll be working with several members of our legislative delegation to help bring some clarity to this. But the objective of today's meeting is to try to bring order to a chaotic situation, to give our citizens in Shelby County some feelings of assurance that we have a very issue-oriented process over the next several weeks, and that we stay focused on the questions that are being legitimately asked, and that we seek out the answers in a very honest, sincere way. And that it be done by two leaders who have chosen not to take sides in this discussion, but instead have tried to mediate a situation that provides clarity and gives our citizens an opportunity to make an informed decision. Of course, ultimately, we've always got to keep in mind that we still have students that have to be educated. We have upwards of 150,000 students that are involved in this process. We must have a process that's orderly, that makes sense, that's acceptable to the people, and that does not harm the students that are impacted most by this process. We must keep in mind that the process must be one that is deliberated over, that is considered seriously, but does not adversely impact the students that are involved. We want to begin that discussion today. We want to invite input from our legislators, both at the local level and at the state level. We certainly want to accept input from our citizens, but we must start the dialogue, and it must begin with the mayors. I think you all expect the mayors to be leaders on issues like this. Mayor Wharton and I have been working with this for several weeks. We're ready to step up, to try to move this in a positive way, and to move it in a way that benefits our citizenry and certainly does not harm our students.